Today, on Be Something Wonderful, your imagined then is the only reality. Warning, this video is powerful. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. I had a session late yesterday afternoon with a client that said, Tom, you know, I've never felt worthy. I've never felt confident. I've never felt smart enough or really just comfortable in my own skin. I've always felt limited in that way. And I watched the video that you just released today. This was yesterday. And right before our session. And I get it. And it really resonates with me. But I still find it, I still feel like an imposter. This is what she said. So guys, I want to talk about this today and more. And here's what I said to her. Of course, we talked about yesterday's video, which directly addresses what she believes is her perceived problem. But I went beyond that. And what I said to her, I said, really, an imposter, the imposter is really the 3D you. The 3D you that says you're not worthy is the imposter. The 3D you that says you're weak, that's the imposter. The 3D you that says you're limited in anything, in any way, is the imposter. Right? That's what we're talking about. And then I talked about that movie Solaris again, where that main character says, I remembered her wrong. Right? We're talking about images and memories, how you can create reality by remembering it differently. But here's what I said to her. I go, with her, in her case, I said, you're remembering yourself wrong. Hear this, right? Whenever you're using I am to talk about limitations and things that you believe that they're weak in and that you don't have, you're remembering yourself wrong. You're remembering God wrong. Remember, God's dreaming you, and the dream that God has of you is that I am, that perfection, who you really are. So guys, I want to unpack this today and more. When you resist, reject, deny, and rail against 3D reality, in other words, this 3D you that you believe you are, you're struggling against your very nature. Your very nature is I am. That's your imagination. Your imagination is reality. Your I am is reality. Your desired end is reality. What you want to be, do, or have is reality. You are imagining your 3D reality right now. Right? We think it's so solid. All these things that we think, these conditions and these thoughts about ourselves, we think they're so solid, right? But you're imagining that. And when you imagine your desired end and wish fulfilled, you assume it's less real and therefore do not perceive it immediately in 3D. So we imagine who we want to be. We imagine our desired end, but we assume that that's less real, somehow less genuine, less solid than the 3D reality. But it's not, especially when you use I am, because I am's the only reality. It's really the 3D reality that's less real. Hear this. So let's really hit this today. Everything you imagine, I am, for example, who do you say you are, right? Who do you say, like Jesus asked his disciples, who do you say I am? Do you remember that question? Who do you say I am, right? Everything you imagine is immediately manifested, created on some plane of reality, including the 3D reality, the less than 0.1% that you perceive right now. It's all imagination. The 3D reality and what you're imagining for your wish fulfilled. The question is, what do you want to perceive now? Because you believe more in that less than 1% of manifested reality than you do what you're imagining within with your wish fulfilled or who you want to be, right? As you imagine that you are worthy, that I am worthy, I am deserving, I am light, I am inspired, right? I am blessed, right? That's why I am affirmations can be extremely powerful when declared from this place of knowing. Right? That everything's imagination. That the world you're seeing right now, that 3D world, is in your imagination. Right? You sit, this is what Seth said through Jane Roberts, you sit within the miracle of yourselves and ask for signs. It is your inner eyes that I would open. So powerful. I've hit that in a few videos now. Perfect for this video. And remember, when you dream at night and you're asleep, you believe the dreamscape of people, events, and conditions are real and separate from you. When you're dreaming these, you're believing these are real and solid, right? Then you wake up and you realize, oh, it was just a dream. But hear this, guys, so is in 3D reality. The same thing happens when you wake up from the waking dream of 3D and realize that, oh, it's all your imagination. In other words, the I am, you set aside all beliefs in a power outside of your imagination and your I am. When you finally wake up from the 3D dream and understand that that's a dream, that you're imagining this, just like in a night dream, you wake up the next morning and say, oh, that dream came from within me. That house, that sun, that car, those people were not separate from me. That all came from within me. It was a dream, but that's the same thing with 3D reality. When you wake up in 3D reality, you realize all of this that you see is coming from within you, just like a night dream. You realize that it's all your imagination, within and without. In other words, you set aside all beliefs in a power outside of your imagination and a power outside of your I am when you wake up in 3D reality. That's powerful. So let's hit it a little bit more. With I am affirmations, you take a stand as consciousness, your true self, that awareness and presence of I am. That's what we're talking about, right? In John 18, this is what it says here. So Jesus, knowing all things that were coming upon him, went forth and said to them, whom do you seek? This is when they were looking for Jesus. When Judas turned Jesus in, right? He betrayed Jesus, right? But remember, Judas represents detachment. We'll get into that in a few minutes. So it's really you betraying yourself, meaning betray means to reveal. So Judas was revealing that I am. You're revealing the I am to yourself. So Jesus, knowing all things that were coming upon him, meaning they were all looking for him, right, went forth and said to them, whom do you seek? They answered him, Jesus the Nazarene. He said, I am he. Now in scripture it says I am he, but the original version, the original in Greek, only had I am. The he was added after. So it wasn't even that. You could cross out all the he's because it's just he said I am. Right? I am. So he answered, he said, I am that I am that, right? So when he said to them, I am, they drew back and fell to the ground. Hear this. So when he said to them that they were coming looking for him, and Judas was with them, when they were coming looking for him to arrest him, he said, I am, right? So when he said that to them, I am, they drew back and fell to the ground. This demonstrates the awesome power of continually affirming your I am. Do you hear this? The 3D conditions crumble. Do you hear this? The beliefs fall aside. That's what those represented. That's what when it says they fell to the ground, we're talking about the beliefs other than a belief in your imagination. We're talking about the 3D conditions that you believe are so solid. We're talking about the things where you say that you're unworthy, or that you're weak, or that you're limited. Those all fall to the ground when you affirm, I am. When he said to them, I am, they fell to the ground. They drew back and fell to the ground. Guys, that's the power we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. That's affirming that power within you. So let's hit this a little bit more. And then, so despite the apparent giving in to temporary 3D conditions, because remember, when Jesus said, I am, when they said, who is Jesus? We're looking for Jesus the Nazarene. He said, I am. It looked like he was giving up or surrendering to 3D conditions. Hear this. It was an apparent giving in to 3D conditions. It was following the script. It's you following the script. It's you knowing that despite the conditions around you, despite being surrounded, as Jesus was, surrounded by those who wanted to capture him, he stood in that I am and declared it and affirmed it. I am. Feel the power in that. I am worthy. I am strong. I am intelligent. I do have I am one with my desires. I am one with my imagined end. Hear the power in that. The 3D then yields to your I am. Right? You saw it. They fell. Right? They fell to the ground. The 3D yields to your I am as you affirm your desired reality. Therefore, he again asked them, whom do you seek? There's Jesus again asking again. Whom do you seek? This is yourself asking yourself, right? This is your I am asking, who are you seeking? Right? This is your I am talking to you, right? God talking to you. What do you want? Who are you seeking? What do you want? What's your desired end? Move your focus there. Do you see that? Therefore, he again asked them, who do you seek? In John 18:7, he asked again, right? To reaffirm, what do you want? What's your desired end? Move your focus there. Even as he was surrounded and they were closing in. 3D conditions feel like they're closing in. Feels like it's all happening contra to what you want. But I told them that I am. So if you seek me, let those go on their way. Wow, hear this. I told you that I am. Jesus is saying, I told you that I am. I affirm this and I'm affirming it again. So if you seek me, let these go their way. Let what go? Let all the beliefs in another power go. Let all the doubts, the conditions, the things that look like they're contrary to what you want. Let all those go. And then be with your I am. Be with what you're declaring now. Can you see this, guys? I told you that I am. So if you seek me, let these go their way. Let every thought, every feeling, every belief, every assumption, every condition that's contra to your desired end, let that go and stand in your I am. Wow. That comes from a place of knowing. That's powerful. So, let every belief, this is what Neville Goddard says, let every belief of a power out on the outside go, but do not let the belief in your powerful imagination go, for truth is within you. This is when Neville Goddard talks about that very part of Scripture in John 18. He was referring to that, right? Let every belief of a power on the outside go, but do not let the belief in your powerful imagination, or, in other words, your I am, right? Your I am, go. For this truth, that I am is who you are. It's within you. And then it goes on to say in John 18:2, now Judas also, who was betraying him, knew the place, for Jesus had often met there with his disciples. So hear this. It's saying Judas, who was betraying him. In other words, what was Judas doing? Revealing him, disclosing, it's you. It's God revealing himself to you as I am. It's you revealing yourself to you. You as part of God. You as I am. You as the Christ within you. Right? Because you knew the place, for Jesus had often met there. Your I am was often meeting there. You are often meeting and remember, the disciples are the disciplined mind. You are often meeting there in your I am. Do you see this? So you know the place. You know who you really are. That's what that's saying. So what happens when you affirm it from that place of knowing? You become it. Not next week, not next year, not 6 months from now, but right now. Wow, that's powerful. That's what betray means. It means to reveal, divulge the secrets. You know the secret of your being. It's that I am. It's that Christ within you. It's that Christ in you that's revealed. God reveals himself in you, within you, through your I am, right? Your imagined end is the only reality. I told you this was powerful. I am your host, Tom Caron, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of Higher Consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button. Like and share our videos. That's how we get our message out. You can follow us on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful. We have a group called the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors. You can join that group. It's an open group where you can get guidance, insight, share guidance and insight, share stories. Very powerful. That's at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. You can also join us on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Caron. Or you can just go to our website anytime at tomcaron.com or besomethingwonderful.com, where all that information is there and more. Creators, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, see you soon.